8 out of 10 guys can leave a treatment center and go to what we call traditional sober living and do great. And then 2 out of 10 guys are gonna crash and burn, and it's gonna be a mess. And Chapter House is for the 2 out of 10 guys. I mean, we are the place where guys go that everyone in their life and their treatment team knows that they need more.
It's important to understand that if you don't invest now in getting someone the right aftercare and primarily structured aftercare, what ends up happening is they're gonna relapse. And if they relapse, if they make it back alive, you're gonna have to pay for treatment again. So if you go to another lower level of care, post-treatment, thinking they're ready to go home and do this stuff that's archaic, you may wanna start setting some money aside for them to go back to treatment, because that's what we see nowadays. The drugs and the things that people are doing, young people are doing nowadays, have people so wrapped up. It's about having the time for their brain to heal, as well as coincide with recovery and all the rest of life. The addict is never worried about the overdose necessarily. They're always worried about the deadly underdose, right? And it's just, why would we do anything different? You've got to match the intensity of their problem. If they're using IV drugs, drinking every day, and that sort of thing, you got to match that intensity of their problem with the intensity of the program of recovery.
We're willing to let a guy be a knucklehead for a while, to an extent, until he can have that shift, and so it's beautiful when that happens. And we got a bunch of guys here right now that, I mean, it makes me want to tear up, thinking about, thinking about their actions and behavior. I've had guys hide in the closet during group, say cuss words at me, and X, Y, and Z, and I've had to tell them, hey man, like I love you enough to tell you the truth. I care about you, and that's like what we do here. We love you enough to tell you the truth, and we're not going to give up on you. We're not going to kick you out for acting like a knucklehead always.
We just want them to, when it's all said and done, we want them to be connected. Our job is to help them get connected in the recovery community. Like, Chapter House is going to be a season in their lives, but recovery is going to be a lifetime, and so if they can get connected to the men in the recovery community, it's like, that's what it's all about. So we bring men in, to bring meetings to the house and get to know the guys, to sponsor the guys. We do service projects with a lot of local recovery programs, and so that's just, it's like, that's kind of one of our primary purposes, is to equip them to be ready to be a member of that community. Well beyond their time at Chapter House.
It makes me feel awesome. It's rewarding. It's why I love doing this job, is because you get to see guys that are hopeless and came in and fighting every inch of the way, recover, look at everything from a completely different angle than they once did before, and have this whole different change in attitude, and that's like what's awesome, and that's why we do what we do, is to try to get guys to that place, because I was that guy.
But they're able to go back and admit that they were wrong, and now they're going to change that. And through making the amends, it's about changing and going through there and saying, you know what, here's what I've done that's different. The family members love to hear that, and now they're set up to win, and now they can share that. And that's what we do. We teach them how to not only get their lives together through the steps, but carry them into a job. What do they want to do? They might want to go back to school. They might want to they might already know what they want to do. And they might already have an education. But it's about taking them to the next level. And sobriety has to come first. So
I think I owe it to each man coming through the door, no matter how broken, how irreparable, whether they lack social grace, whether they, we get these young men coming through the door that are dying in the disease of addiction. And I feel I owe it to them, is to build a picture in my head, a vision for them of what that person might actually look like sober, because sometimes it's very hard to picture that. And then from there, I can acquiesce and work towards that change. Now, I don't always know what real recovery looks like on them. And it's their responsibility through the 12 steps and through clinical services to reach out and find it. But I think I owe it to each guy coming through the door to give them their fair shake and to help mold them into whatever kind of man they were supposed to be before they were cut down by addiction, alcoholism.
The thing that we give to families that's so kind of cool And to the individual, that's really cool, is that I don't think every guy that walks through our doors is like just a terrible bad person. I think when they were little, they had hopes and aspirations. I think the family had hopes and aspirations for them as well. And what we get to do is get them their son back in a different way. And they can see that, you know, I remember this kid. I remember when he was ambitious. I remember when he said he wanted to be a police officer, firefighter, whatever that is. And really, they get to see that in a way that's healthy again, and they get to live free. You know, they get to get a good night's rest. They get to, you know, contribute and go on that vacation and not worry about if he's running off and what he's up to and that sort of thing. They're able to be reconnected. And I think that's more important for me, to know that the people in their life and them, the individual themselves, gets that type of freedom where they can do whatever they want, truly do whatever they want with their life in recovery.
Really stems from the families. When I see the families' response to what they're doing, and I've had mothers and fathers call me crying, saying how grateful they were. We get a lot of emails and letters from sons that have returned home, and you get an email or a letter last year that just says thanks for all the great work you've done. It really seems nothing short of a miracle of having our son back, and so those are the things that make it worthwhile. And we've just built lifelong friendships with these guys, and been able to see them grow up and become very active members of the 12-step community, and you know, scholastically go far, and all those things. So that's some of the joy that I get from my work.
It's like there's these little moments in time that make me remember, you know, why this is the coolest job in the world. You know, we've got one guy who I remember talking to him one night when everything was hitting the fan. You know, the whole thing. You know, his mom and dad were calling, didn't know what to do. He had just relapsed out of another sober living, and he was drunk, and he drank hand sanitizer and vanilla extract. I mean, it was a nightmare. And now today, you know, he's a year sober, and we went through the whole Chapter House program. He's a year sober, and sometimes he drops into the counseling center just to say thank you. And it's like, you can just see like the spark in his eyes and how proud he is of his job. And, you know, he's made amends to his ex-wife, and he's there for his mom and dad as they're dealing with their dying parents, and like just really cool stuff. It's like, man, that's what it's all about, you know?
I mean, now these guys, some of these guys, and this particular guy, I can't say his name, but I mean, he's like beautiful to watch, you know, and to see him give back to the other guys in the community while he's still currently here now, it's just awesome, you know, and it makes you, when you go to bed at night, go, that's why we fought for him. You know, because he has an opportunity now to share that with someone else, you know, and dude, it's amazing. It makes you want to tear up, you know, thinking, and it does. It's amazing. That's why we do what we do. Because I've had days where I've gone home, you know, and I'm like, I don't think we're getting anywhere, you know, and I just want so badly for these guys to get it, you know, and I know the illness sometimes. Some don't, some die, some recover, some don't ever recover, you know, but we as a team, and, you know, we fight day in and day out against an illness, and we try to help these guys get to that place. So when you get those 4 or 5 guys that just have that change, it's like, all right, awesome. That's why we do what we do. So
that is way more, more of a gift than for me to see someone that comes back and it just tells me they're doing good. I really like to see people's lives transform and the family, you know, be put back together in such a way that they remember that little boy, and they're able to allow them to, you know, to have that again. Just
unbelievable to watch them like thriving, having, you know, have girlfriends, be involved in their church, you know, be sponsoring guys. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not very good at putting words to it, but it's what it's all about. And there's always just those little moments in time, you know, where I'll get a letter from a client, or we had an alumni come back in town who lives out of state now, and came back just to spend a week here and just hang out at Chapter House and, you know, hang out with the guys and out of gratitude. So I love it. I mean, I love what I do.